The galaxy had a habit of begging for help, and it almost always regretted it. A distress beacon flared across the void, its pulse echoing through countless star systems. An alien civilization, cornered and terrified, broadcast their plea. Fleets under siege, worlds burning, millions at risk. They expected aid. They expected mercy. They did not expect humans. At Earth Command, the transmission arrived with a quiet ping. Admiral Rhea Calder studied it with a calm that bordered on eerie. She didn't lean forward or react with surprise. She merely traced the flickering light on the console. "Prepare the fleet," she said. Her voice carried the weight of inevitability. Lieutenant Mara Idris blinked in disbelief. "Admiral, they're asking for help. Do we respond?" Rhea interrupted, her gaze cold and unwavering. "Yes. On our terms." This was not an ordinary mission. Humanity's fleets were not deployed for diplomacy or token intervention. They were built for finality. Ships that could erase entire fleets in minutes, carriers capable of launching hundreds of drones simultaneously, railguns that could obliterate a warship with a single shot. The human response would not just defend, they would end the fight. On board the dreadnought Judicator, Captain Darius Hale watched the projection of the beleaguered alien system. Smoke trails and tracer lines indicated battle had already begun. Entire squadrons were vanishing. "Status," Hale demanded. "Enemy fleets are fragmented," reported Tactical Officer Lin. "They're collapsing under internal pressure. The distress signal indicates their defenses are insufficient. Casualties are catastrophic." Hale nodded. "Good. Prepare the fleet. We will arrive precisely when it matters, and make sure the galaxy never forgets it." The rest of the human armada emerged from deep space shipyards, each vessel a marvel of engineering and lethal intent. Stealth corvettes darted silently between dreadnoughts, while massive carriers bristled with drones ready to strike. Even the support frigates were armed to levels alien empires could scarcely comprehend. "Fleet ready for deployment," Lin confirmed. Hale's lips curved slightly. "Then let them see the consequence of calling for aid from humans." Back in the system under siege, alien commanders whispered frantic orders. "Our reinforcements are on the way," one cried. "The humans won't intervene." They were wrong. A shadow appeared at the edge of their sensors. Tiny at first, a single dot, almost laughable in its distance. But then it grew, impossibly massive, moving with unshakable confidence. The dreadnought Judicator entered the system. Energy shields flared, railguns powered, and drones hummed in perfect synchrony. One human warship, and yet it radiated the certainty of an entire armada. The aliens froze, their confidence collapsing. The systems they relied upon, their firepower, their formations, their alliances, suddenly meant nothing. Humans had arrived, and humans never fought small battles. A calm, commanding voice cut across the void, amplified by every frequency the aliens could hear. "We received your call. You are protected. The cost of your enemy's mistakes will be paid in full." Even as the alien forces scrambled, trying to react, the human fleet spread like a shadow across the system, sealing exits, cutting communications, and striking first with unerring precision. The galaxy would remember this moment, when a civilization cried for aid and inadvertently summoned the most ruthless fleet humanity had ever built. And the aliens were about to learn a lesson they would never forget. The alien commanders had expected reinforcements. They had not expected this. The human fleet moved with eerie synchronization. Dreadnoughts, carriers, frigates, and stealth corvettes spread across the system like a predator encircling prey. Each vessel executed maneuvers calculated decades in advance, each strike anticipating enemy reactions before they even occurred. On the bridge of the dreadnought Judicator, Captain Darius Hale observed the alien formations. Red blips flickered across the holomap, chaotic and panicked. They were trying to regroup, but the humans had already anticipated every possible formation. "Tactical," Hale said. "Begin the precision strikes." Target the forward cruisers first, then the flagship. Confirmed, Captain, Tactical Officer Lin replied. Railguns and plasma arrays charging. Drone swarms deployed and ready. The first human salvo tore through the alien front line. Railguns fired with a velocity and precision no alien shielding could withstand. Entire cruisers were shredded in seconds. Plasma arcs cascaded across energy shields, overwhelming them in moments. Panic rippled through the alien rank. Marshal Vector, aboard the alien flagship, snapped orders at his officers. Focus on that ship. Destroy it. His second-in-command hesitated. Marshal, they're shields. They are just shields. Vector barked. Fire everything. The alien fleet responded with a barrage of energy lances, plasma cannons, and missile salvos. The blasts collided with the human dreadnought's hull, and dissipated harmlessly against its reinforced deflectors. Not a single human ship flinched. Hale's lips curved into the faintest smile. They rely on numbers. They never calculated for human precision. The Judicator advanced, moving through the alien lines with surgical intent. Drone swarms launched, phasing around shields and striking at critical systems. Engines, weapon arrays, and communication hubs. Chaos erupted. Alien ships collided with each other or with debris, unable to navigate amidst the precise onslaught. One by one, the alien cruisers exploded in blinding flashes. Destroyers spiraled helplessly into the void. The flagship attempted to retreat, only to find the jump corridors blocked by human stealth frigates. Every escape route had been calculated, anticipated, and sealed. Vector's segmented mandibles trembled with fear. This cannot be. One ship, one fleet. How is this possible? From the human bridge, Lin replied calmly, it's not one ship. It's strategy. And humans never stop until the fight is over. The human fleet moved as one, unstoppable and methodical. Alien morale crumbled. Confusion replaced coordination. The supposedly invincible invaders were disintegrating under the relentless tide of precision strike. Even those who had called for aid stared in shock and terror. Humanity's response was not mere reinforcement, it was extermination delivered with surgical perfection. Hale activated the final phase. Prepare the primary batteries. Finish the command vessel. The dreadnought's massive railguns and plasma arrays targeted the alien flagship with deadly intent. Every shot was calculated to disable, devastate, and demoralize. One salvo later, the flagship's shields collapsed, its engines ignited in a catastrophic chain reaction, and it disintegrated in a blinding explosion. Silence followed, save for the hum of the human fleet, calm, precise, and unstoppable. Marshal Vector stared at the holomap in disbelief. They were annihilated. One human fleet had destroyed everything their empire had sent. Hale's voice echoed across the comm channels, cold and unyielding. This is what happens when you underestimate humanity. Consider the lesson learned. The aliens now understood a terrifying truth. Humans did not negotiate. Humans did not falter. Humans ended conflicts, and they did it decisively. The remnants of the alien fleet tried to regroup, but chaos had already taken hold. Cruiser formations were shattered, destroyers spun helplessly through debris fields, and fighter squadrons were cut down before they could even form a defensive screen. Humanity's fleet was everywhere, fast, precise, and impossible to predict. On board the Judicator, Captain Darius Hale studied the holographic map. Red blips, the alien survivors, flickered like dying embers. Blue and green icons represented human warships, moving in perfect synchronization. Every possible exit had been sealed, every weak point exploited. Tactical, Hale said, voice calm yet commanding. Deploy the secondary wave. Drones first, then interceptors. Cut off all remaining escape routes. Confirmed, Captain, Lin replied. All units ready. The second wave of drones leapt into the void, silent and deadly. They phased past shields, slipping between hulls, and detonated in controlled bursts that disabled engines and weapon systems without unnecessary destruction. Alien ships lost maneuverability instantly, drifting into collisions or leaving themselves exposed to human railguns. Meanwhile, human interceptors swooped through the broken formations. Swift and lethal, they disabled turrets, jammed communications, and carved through fighter screens with surgical precision. No alien vessel escaped unscathed. Panic spread across the remaining enemy rank. On the alien flagship, Marshal Vector screamed orders, his voice trembling. "Focus fire on the dreadnought. Destroy it now." The flagship's cannons unleashed volleys of plasma and energy lances, but each strike was absorbed, deflected, or avoided. The Judicator moved like a shadow, positioning itself perfectly, a single pulse away from annihilating every target. "Primary batteries ready," Lin announced. "Shall we, Captain?" Hale nodded. "Engage. End this." Railguns fired, tearing through cruisers and destroyers with a precision that left no room for escape. Plasma arrays followed, igniting engines and splitting hulls. The flagship attempted a desperate warp jump, but human stealth frigates had already blocked the exit points, leaving it trapped. A single human dreadnought against a fragmented fleet, and yet the results were catastrophic. Alien morale collapsed. Officers shouted, crews panicked, and Vector realized in horrifying clarity that his entire fleet was doomed. "This cannot be," he whispered. "We've faced nothing like this. They underestimated us," came the calm, icy transmission from the Judicator. "One fleet is enough. One human fleet is enough. And now, you learn the consequences of ignoring warnings." The final wave of drone strikes disabled the remaining alien vessels. Engines were fried, shields overloaded, weapons destroyed. The surviving ships were nothing more than drifting wreckage, unable to fight or escape. Hale surveyed the battlefield. Every alien vessel that had dared to trespass into human space lay in ruins. The system was secured. Humanity had not merely defended, they had eradicated the threat entirely. Even those who had sent the distress call, hoping for aid, were awed and terrified. They had asked for help, and received a demonstration of what humanity was capable of when provoked. The message had been delivered. Clear. Relentless. Unforgiving. Marshal Vector's voice cracked over the comms one last time. This cannot be undone." Hale's voice was calm, unwavering, and deadly. "Consider it written in the stars. Human space is sovereign. Trespass again, and face total annihilation." The system was a graveyard, but the human fleet did not slow. The Judicator led the way, a silent colossus cutting through the void, flanked by carriers and frigates that moved with precision unmatched in the galaxy. Every alien ship still capable of movement was targeted, every escape route sealed, and every threat neutralized with calculated efficiency. Marshal Vector's flagship drifted, crippled and helpless. Alarms screamed, and consoles erupted in sparks as human drones infiltrated every subsystem. Engines sputtered. Weapon arrays failed. Communications were dead. The alien bridge was chaos incarnate, officers shouting over each other, panicked and hopeless. "Deploy the final strike," Captain Darius Hale commanded, voice calm, measured. Tactical Officer Lin activated the dreadnought's primary batteries. Railguns hummed, plasma arrays flared, and the massive ship's energy cannons charged. A single, focused volley tore through the alien flagship's reactor core. The resulting explosion lit the system in blinding white fire, vaporizing the vessel instantly and sending shockwaves across the remaining fleet. The surviving alien ships attempted to flee, but stealth frigates and interceptors were already in position. Warp corridors were blocked, engines disabled, and drones guided kinetic strikes with terrifying precision. The aliens were trapped, their remaining vessels destroyed or incapacitated one by one. On the human bridge, Captain Hale observed silently. "Status?" he asked. "Enemy fleet neutralized, Captain. No survivors capable of combat remain," Lin reported. "Good," Hale said. Prepare the system for stabilization and cleanup. Even the alien allies, the ones who had originally sent the distress call, stared in awe. Humanity had arrived, but not to negotiate or assist diplomatically. They had arrived to end the conflict decisively, and every force in the system now understood that human intervention was absolute, overwhelming, and ruthlessly precise. At Earth Command, Admiral Rhea Calder observed the reports. She did not smile, but a cold satisfaction settled over her. Humanity had delivered the ultimate warning to the galaxy. Aggression, trespass, or underestimation would be met with total and unrelenting force. Back in the system, Lieutenant Mara Idris walked the observation deck of a support frigate, staring at the wreckage scattered across the void. "We've destroyed almost everything," she said quietly. Hale's gaze followed hers. "Not destroyed," he corrected. "We've demonstrated. Civilization has been reminded. And those who forget the lesson will pay the price." The aliens had cried for aid, expecting mercy or reinforcement. Instead, humanity had unleashed the most ruthless fleet the galaxy had ever seen, and the results were irreversible. The system was silent now, save for the hum of human engines and the soft crackle of debris. Humanity had fought not just with weapons, but with strategy, precision, and an unshakable resolve. And the galaxy would remember. Silence settled over the battlefield. Alien ships lay in ruins, drifting like broken stars. The system had been cleansed, not of life entirely, but of any force that dared challenge humanity. Every vessel that had trespassed had been destroyed, disabled, or captured. Humanity had delivered not only victory, but a warning the galaxy would never forget. Captain Darius Hale stood on the bridge of the Judicator, staring at the remaining debris. His expression was calm, unshaken. Beside him, Lieutenant Mara Idris shook her head in awe. "Do you think they understand now?" she asked quietly. "They will," Hale replied. "Not because we are cruel. Not because we enjoy destruction. But because humans never allow a threat to fester. We endure. We adapt. And when provoked, we respond decisively." Across the galaxy, messages spread. Systems that had sent aid requests or watched from afar recorded the human fleet's movements and the devastation it caused. Entire species revised their assumptions about Earth's capabilities and the limits of human resolve. Even the aliens who had cried for help, those who had hoped for mercy, witnessed humanity's unwavering logic and ruthless efficiency. They had called for aid, and instead of a gentle intervention, they had summoned a force that erased all doubt about human power. On Earth, Admiral Rhea Calder addressed the Council. "This is not vengeance. It is deterrence. Let the galaxy know, human space is sovereign. Violators will face absolute consequence. This fleet, this operation, will be remembered as the standard for all future interactions." Back in the system, Mara Idris observed as recovery and repair drones activated. Infrastructure was secured. Survivors were assisted. Humanity's response, while overwhelming, was also meticulous, every action intentional, measured, and precise. Hale's eyes scanned the void. "They will not forget. And neither should we. One fleet showed them the consequences of trespassing. But the galaxy is vast. Others will test us. Others will doubt us. And when they do, we must be ready." A child watched from a distant colony station, unaware of the political and military implications, but sensing the truth. "Humans are strong," the child whispered. "Yes," her mother replied. "They protect their own. And they never lose." The Judicator and its fleet turned homeward, leaving behind a system cleared, a galaxy warned, and a legend forged. Humanity had responded to cries for aid not with hesitation, but with calculated, unstoppable force. The aliens had asked for help. They had received the most ruthless fleet ever built. And the galaxy had learned a lesson it would carry forever. Never underestimate humanity. The stars were quiet, but the message blazed brighter than any supernova. Enter human space, and you enter extinction itself.